Breaking news, folks. Can't make this up, at least on the United States side. We have BBC, CBC correctly publishing that Russia's been stoking at a rate 4 times higher than ever before in 30 years. But it's 6 times higher with China, Alberta Separatism. And it's clear why. Russia's an Arctic member, as is United States of America, not China, not UK. But China wants to get in there. China has all the shipping, would love to secure that route. And all they need for that is Canada in conjunction with Russia. We have military districts in Canada, military districts that stop at the top of the provinces. They don't go into the territories. This is a major fault of Canada. It always has been. It leaves everything on the state of Florida and several others to coordinate NORAD on their own. And of course, Alaska to Florida, there's a big wide window there. And Canada has to step up to the plate. But they don't want to. They maintain their military districts in the 10 provinces, not in the territories. Just 3, in fact. And what's happened is Russia and China utilize that big open Canadian side of the Arctic, not through the Bering Strait, because Alaska's right there, but they get through and they come around right through Canadian Arctic waters, no problem at all. And we've seen, recorded by the United States, how many Chinese vessels have transversed that over the last 2 years. Massive scale. And what's happened now is the news media is publishing that Russia is in fact doing all this propaganda to further Alberta separation, to create all kinds of problems for Canada, so that they won't go to the U.S., but they'll stay as landlocked territory, incredibly weakening the Arctic security of Canada with the United States, costing the USA tons of money and instability. We're watching that with the dollar. Now, Canadian dollar's falling, oil prices are shooting up. We have everything Canada's publishing all on the Iranian war, that somehow it's going to stay for the next entire year. It's not going to happen. Donald J. Trump's prepared to end the military conflict, military operation with Iran, if Iran gives up all its nuclear material. BBC, CBC, like mirrors of each other, keep reflecting some kind of story that Donald J. Trump is going to make a 14-point deal without nuclear. He's not. He will resume bombing. If you haven't been paying attention in American news, American Congress, the U.S. has approved $1.5 trillion to the American military. The most expansive growth ever seen in the military. They're prepared to blow Iran completely off the map. They'll never recover. That will greatly reduce their economy to nothing. In that event, they won't be able to secure the Hormuz Strait for themselves. They can't anyway. They're down to just gunboats. And Donald J. Trump will not make a deal, no matter what anyone's saying, all the propaganda media in the British Empire system, in the Commonwealth, especially Canada. He's not going to do that deal. It's turn over all the enriched uranium or be destroyed. Economically, absolutely. Folks, Iran is going to be bankrupt in early June. There's no changing that outcome as it is with the blockade from the USA. I don't know why Canadians are this gullible and foolish. I don't know why Canadians think their economy's safe at record level oil prices because of the Iran conflict that can't economically continue past early June. Means Iran won't be able to pay any of its police or military. I don't think Canadians realize this. I don't think any Canadians realize you've been bombarded with separation in an illegal model that Russia doesn't support, but supports you doing it anyway, so that Mark Carney has to get serious with separatists, breaching international law, and USA has to fry you. And that's what's going to happen. Um, I want to give some updates on PQ, Quebec separatism. The Liberal Party in Quebec is surging. And why? Because Paul St. Pierre Plamondon is presenting a made in Canada solution, and the Quebecois at 63% don't want to do it. I have to have that meeting probably quickly after I return from Ontario with our board cemented, our accountants secured. I'm going to have to continue on to Quebec probably immediately after to have a sit down with Paul and explain the situation. I know his English is really good, but I do legal speak. I took this in the highest academic institutions. People come to me with the black law and the books and blah, 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 and they talk about natural law, common law, civil law, and all these law systems, but it doesn't explain legal speak. It doesn't explain same nouns in different countries, in different dictionaries have completely different meanings. It's very, very important I get the legal speak right with Paul so that he understands. That's why I'm bringing Leanna Minato with me. She's saying, well, Dave, I think you can do it on your own. It's like, no, I want the Quebecois there, someone good in English to explain it in French to him because it's his first language, using the correct French words to get the point home. And I can't do that. I can understand our differences. I can give that in English, but I can't give the understanding in the correct French language. So that has to be done. If Paul follows that, the Quebecois will swing back from the Liberals to the PQ. Now, PQ is secretly ahead by 13 points just with the French population. But it's about getting the Quebecois to where they were, and I want to see it legitimately done in Canada. I want to stand against Russia and China, who probably have every right to be angry with Canada. And, I'm so sick to death of Mark Carney and all our first ministers here in Canada. First ministers are every premier of every province. 7 out of 10 of them have clearly been highlighted by ourselves and the United States of America as fully in bed with China. And if they were all honest with you, if CSIS was completely honest with you, they wouldn't just name Russia as they've been naming China ahead of Russia all the way up until Mark Carney's deal with China, with Keir Starmer's new super embassy passing in Thames, UK. If Canadians don't know this, this is the British Empire's older version of the US Pentagon. Yeah, 5 points. It's a Pentagon. It's the Tower of London. It's all of that financial and military global district system of the UK. Where, yes, the Canada One Tower in Canary Wharf is there, but now the Chinese Super Embassy, the biggest embassy in the world, is being constructed there right in that UK Thames Pentagon, the first Pentagon ever created worldwide. And it's a huge corruption of UK. It's a huge attack on America. It's a huge corruption of Canada. And I'm sorry, but all the Alberta Separatists are completely overrun and taken by it. I don't know why Albertans don't understand that they're paying $1.89 a liter today. I just went to town, I seen it. It's $1.89 or $7.22 a gallon for gasoline. This is Daniel Smith and Mark Carney's deal. It's taxation without representation at the highest scale Albertans have ever seen, a 300% increase in your cost of living. If you don't know anything about the new Governor General of Canada, she calls for a massive increase in the cost of living for all subjects in Canada because we're their property. She's quoted many times speaking of this with George Soros in the WEF. And Alberta is transitioning to that with more than 30% of their core critical natural resources now owned by China. You're corrupted by China. America is pulling back all foreign direct investment from Alberta and all of Canada. In fact, the largest ICE centers that have now been restored and funded by House and Senate, meaning majority Democrats and Republicans, are reinvesting in Montana's border security against which province in Canada? Oh yeah, Alberta. I have no reason to lie. Any Albertan in the southern hemisphere of the province, Lethbridge, many more, take a road trip out to the border crossing in Alberta. You know, the dirt roads, right, to the border crossing where you got your little Canada thing there, and go look at all the facilities and the massive road expansions in the United States of America. Construction's continuing again. So America knows exactly what's going on with Canada and all the provinces. They know what's happening with Alberta and quite possibly what's going to happen with Quebec. I'm going to try and end that for Quebec. I'm going to reach out to Paul when I'm getting zapped hard. But folks, US knows exactly what's going on. Mark Carney's in bed with what's going on. It's going to give him his powers to do what he wants to do as a socialist and fascist. They've already got the justification for it. And he knows Donald J. Trump can't step inside of that if it's Canada doing the Made in Canada way internally. But if I can convince separatists to do the international way, then Donald J. Trump and the Americans, both Democrat and Republicans, can get involved. I urge everybody. There's a lot of people who don't see what's going on, especially Albertans right now, drunk with the Russia-China propaganda. And that is the worst, because Chinese and Russians don't fall for that kind of thing, but Canadians sure do very easily. And it's amazing. I'm watching my own people in Alberta completely fall off, and they don't realize that if you betray the United States, there's no coming back from that. There's nothing I can do about that for anybody. And folks are going to learn that lesson the hard way. We're going to continue with our party. I'm going to get all that done. But just you wait and see what comes down the pipeline. And especially, and it's kind of funny, it's kind of a pun when I say that, because it's U.S. pipeline demanding that Canada remove all carbon pricing because America won't pay it. But yet, Albertans are expected to pay 300% more, or the lion's share of everything America's not going to pay. And that's Albertans foolishly cucked into it. We're massively more taxed now, all provinces in Canada, than China. There's not a province in conjunction with the Chinese Communist state put together that remotely comes close to even Alberta. Alberta is more taxed than Communist China. And so you can go from there to figure out the rest of Canada. And people believe they're going to get a Made in Canada independence, and we're going to be independent. There's a lot of lunatic Albertans right now that really believe they're on their way to independence, and that if they get this October in, and all they have to do is win that referendum, they're out the door and they're going to be recognized globally. And the numbers just aren't there to begin with. But even if they got the momentum, meaning Mark Carney drops some kind of nuclear bomb on Alberta, which it's already been done threefold. I don't know how many more economic megatons Mark Carney with Premier Daniel Smith can drop economically on Alberta, but Albertans aren't waking up, and they're completely hijacked by Russia and China. And again, why? Because Russia wants that Arctic. China needs that access for trade, and they love the idea that they keep picking up the pieces with the US-Canada impasse. China keeps picking up the pieces, taking more and more of the critical industries of Canada. And Albertans or regular Canadians, in a large majority, can't figure this out. And the idea that they're going to get a made in Canada independence that Russia won't vote for, and neither will China. They like you just the way they are. In fact, they would really like a landlocked province of Alberta outside of Canada, completely ripping into North America without global recognition. And that's a reality they'd love to see. They also want to see that with Quebec, torn up Canada without international status, really messing up USA's trading partner, really messing America up, especially America having to invest and pick up the pieces, which America doesn't want. They already have enough trouble with Mark Carney. Now, Mark Carney has a really good game plan for this. He's going to assume massive socialist and fascist control. Daniel Smith's going to put her hands in the air and say, well, you saw the results. Now I have to do Forever Canada legislation. Meanwhile, herself, her UCP insiders, NDP, they're playing it up too, but all of them are going to get rich, and Canadians are going to learn to live really poor. If you've missed our new Governor General of Canada's speeches throughout the WEF, she believes that subjects, serfs, peasants, and savages must give up massive quality of life to a major cost of living to support the higher minds, higher superior first class. Word for word, can't make this up. Mark Carney views all of you as his slaves, his property, spoiled, no good Canadians who should be lucky to have a cot, have a job, and a full meal in their belly. That's where you're getting transitioned to, the vast majority of you. Small, medium businesses are a thing of the past in this country. You'll see as large corporations take and assume control, just like how it is in China. There's always an underground economy, I guess, if that's a thing for you. But I don't like that kind of country, and I don't really want to be a part of it. But that's where we're going, whether people want to admit that or not. It's too late for Alberta. People are commenting, go see these people. If you haven't noticed, my following has fallen off. I still have all my followers. They're called Fairweather. And a lot of Albertans, a lot of folks are going, oh, look, Alberta's going to get independence. And then their idea is to come back after slapping USA in the face, saying that, no, we're going to do it this way. Alberta's got it. That we're going to do the made in Canada way. We hate America. And then all of a sudden, oh, I love America. I want to come back. Doesn't work like that. And Americans are recording everything that goes on my feeds. They're recording all of it. They see it. They know. You talk to any American, I've talked to a few, and they go, yeah, we know, we see. Why do you think we don't like Canadians? Because they're treacherous, backstabby, jump onto something. They'll promise you the world, just like the Crown, and betray you just as fast with a sharp knife, sword, dagger right in the back. That's a socialist and fascist nation. So, folks, to be honest, if you're American, I gave you the story of America and the sunshine, and then there's the Crown, the wind blows, and the man won't take his coat off no matter how long they blow, and then there's the sunshine, the man sweats, takes off his jacket, all great. Well, America has another formula in that. Not only are you going to take your jacket off, the sun's going to beam harder and hotter, and you're going to sweat. You're going to lose all your clothes, and you're going to be lying there in the hot sun begging for the water, the statehood water. And America's going to go, I don't think you've learned your lesson. Maybe we're going to make you wait 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Maybe we'll make you wait. Let you suffer it out for a couple decades in a second, third world status. Because too many of your people want it easy, or in love with the easy way. If it's not given to me, it's supposed to be a privilege I get. I don't have to do nothing. In fact, I can be a backstabber, a liar, a cheat. I can do all those things just like the crown. I'm going to be the same way. Fuck America, but then when I'm in trouble, please, please help me. What do you want them to do? They've dealt with this through statehood dozens of times. And over in American history, they made those folks suffer. Some has suffered as high as 85 years. Talk about destruction of human development. But sometimes, depending on how corrupted you are, what's it going to take for you to wake up? And unfortunately, I see it with Canadians. I'm going to continue doing the party. I think we're going to run into trouble with following on all of that. Everyone's going to go along their China-Russia way. And then come December, when they realize you've been cucked, and then they come running back, it's like, what do I do with you? What do I do with these folks, right? I mean, we want separation from Canada through statehood, but changing that transformation to Canadians, how do you get them on board when they were backstabbers? How do Americans look at that look at these people? They were too good for America, too good for this, right? What do you do with people who ran towards China and Russia, who clearly aren't in your corner, and you ran to that narrative sponsored by them? What does that tell you? And then even join parties affiliated with the Crown that you said you weren't with, but, oh, UCP's going to change. I've been told to buy a membership in UCP, throw statehood to the side, and I'm going to go with the Crown narrative. It's going to work this time, right? Because Canada's allowed to give provinces country status in the world today. Yeah, when's that ever happened? These are the realities of weak-minded, institutionalized people, flip-floppers, just like the Canadian politicians themselves. Last year, all these people swore, and upwards of many decades, swore in their lives that China was wrong, communism's wrong. Nope, I want nothing to do with that. Yet there they are embracing it. And it's a sick state of affairs indeed. It's a lot of alarm bells for Americans. It's nothing I'm going to entertain, but I will attempt to change Paul and allow those separatists to pursue the legal path if they will. If they choose not to, which is probably likely, then you know that everyone in Canada is absolutely a fraud. We'll find out soon enough. God bless everybody. Monday to Wednesday, I have all my board signatures to do in all legal forms. I've got almost all of that worked out. I have one more person to talk to today, but I think I know which day. So I think Wednesday night, after all said and done, I'll be announcing that we got our board in place, and it's onward back to Ontario and then to the accountant. So God bless everybody. That's my video. It's just updates, whether people share or not. Not really important, but it is breaking news and people need to know. Canada and Alberta are basing their economic fortunes today on oil prices based on the Iranian conflict, stating they think that these prices are going to last more than a year. Complete fraud, not going to happen, and it's going to be so funny coming in June when everything comes back down. Then what is Alberta's plan? What is Canada's plan? What is it then? Wait for the next major global catastrophe that benefits you? Base yourself on international conflict as your means for economic success? That's about the most pathetic kind of it's about the most pathetic marker a country or peoples could ever utilize. It just shows